Daytona Beach, Sunday, August 28th. The NASCAR Cup Series ran the 2022 Coke Zero Sugar 400, arguably the worst race in its entire history. And I could say that really with complete confidence, even with the fact it was only ran a few days ago at the time I'm recording this. It's weird to talk about Daytona this way, being the storied track that it is, and really weird knowing that the event actually had some really good racing throughout Stage 1 and 2, and was a great example of how good NASCAR drivers really are. But after Stage 3 began, all hell broke loose due to a combination of drivers trying to make the playoffs and rain on track. And it exposes so many problems with NASCAR, problems that honestly could serve as a salvation if actually improved and acted upon. Because I'd love to see what I saw in the first two stages at every super speedway. But we can't have nice things, can we? There's just so much to talk about from Stage 3 of this race though. From the rain to the battle between Truex and Blaney for the final playoff spot, and of course, Austin Dillon's Cinderella moment. I could talk for days about what happened last weekend, but even with all that, what I want to talk about in this video has nothing to do with any of that. At least, not directly. I want to talk about Cody Ware. Yeah, that Cody Ware. The same Cody Ware that has a 30-second average finish in NASCAR. The Cody Ware that makes headlines only for finishing last consistently. NASCAR fans love an underdog. Hell, sports fans in general do. And there aren't many athletes out there that represent an underdog better than Cody Ware. Cody Shane Ware was born on November 7th, 1995, to Rick and Lisa Ware. Rick Ware was a NASCAR driver himself, but I'll be honest, he didn't fare much better than his son does today. Rick Ware eventually started his own racing team in 1998, the infamous Rick Ware Racing, and they actually are a very competitive race team across various disciplines from IndyCar to LMP to late model stock cars. They do it all. Cody Ware himself, if you can believe it, actually won a GT championship in 2020. But unfortunately, as many NASCAR fans know, or don't, and I wouldn't blame them if they don't, Rick Ware Racing is the laughingstock of the sport. They've been in the sport for almost a decade, yet they can't even compete on super speedways, where all the cars are speed limited. And there is a lot of potential reasons for this, such as resources allocated to other series, underpowered equipment, and potentially lack of talent from their drivers. And that's certainly arguable. I mean, how do you explain Joey Hand and Ryan Preece running up front in RWR equipment at Watkins Glen and Road America, while Cody Ware loses the draft at Talladega? That's certainly arguable, but it only adds to the legend of Cody Ware. See, Cody Ware is one of the most interesting drivers in NASCAR, and for some would say, unique reasons. For starters, he's a huge weeb, and beyond that, he shares with Elon Musk an exquisite taste in women. And I have a long anime watch list myself, so I kind of like to see that in a NASCAR driver. I mean, most NASCAR drivers don't even know how to use Instagram. How many in the field do you think actually watch any anime consistently? Or, well, hell, have seen any at all? I'll wait. You think this MF does? Anyways, before all the cooters dry up within a 50-mile radius of me, I'll quit talking about anime. And one of the things that adds to his underdog flair is the awareness that he brings to depression and anxiety. There's a YouTube video I'll link to about this, but during his teenage years, he was actually brought into the woods and lit on fire by his friends, scarring him for life, both physically and mentally. The dude's been through some real shit, and he's struggled ever since.
The first time driving a Legends car in Charlotte, I felt at home. For once, all of the chatter in my head that was the anxiety, the stress, the insecurities, they finally kind of all turned off. And when I was in the race car, I could just focus on the task at hand.
Not many drivers, besides I think Bubba Wallace a few times, ever talk about mental health at all. But it is understandable. I mean, it doesn't really fit NASCAR's good old American family-friendly atmosphere. Plus, as an athlete, you're supposed to be a superhero for people. And it's not easy to do that when people know you're emo. But honestly, for me, and I think I speak for others here, this makes me root for Cody Ware all the more. Even if I'm let down on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I'm glad I'm not a huge Cody Ware fan. I feel bad for those guys. That's like having faith in the account on Instagram who sends you a DM, "Watch me video cam now, sexy video," doesn't actually steal your password and your identity. Oh, and one more thing. Cody Ware is 6'4". He's a freaking stud. But anyways, Cody Ware got his first start in NASCAR in 2016 with Premium Motorsports. Remember them? Yeah, me neither. Except he didn't get his first start because he DNQ'd. Then he began driving for his father in 2017, where he's been ever since, where he made select part-time starts until 2022, and he's been ever since. And honestly, I had a lot of hope for him this season in the number 51. Ware Racing reduced the starts of non-51 cars this year, and I thought they'd focus more on that car. And I thought they'd focus more on making Cody Ware faster. And then seeing how Ryan Preece won a last chance qualifier in the Clash and Cody Ware finished fourth in his, all in Ware equipment. Hell, Ware actually led the field at Dega in 2021. I thought maybe, just maybe, this could be a breakout year. But no, as fate would have it. But I don't think that's actually fate. At this point, it's basically fact. Honestly, as far as I can tell, Cody Ware isn't the worst NASCAR driver in the field. He doesn't make any mistakes, or at least many, and you hardly hear about him, at least for bad reasons. Or, well, at least for really bad reasons. He doesn't wreck anybody, he doesn't really complain that much, he doesn't make any noise. He just rides around. Apart from Bristol dirt.
That's a very unhappy driver. Ware with...
Who is that idiot? Who is that guy? Cody Ware. If he cuts our tire, I'm going to whip his... Better get ready to whip his... Because he's trying to.
Stop, Cody, stop. You're ahead of him. Tired of getting bullied by all these guys.
Yeah, man, copy that. He's mad because he had nothing for you. You know, he couldn't get by you.
All right, so Ware gets the free pass, rolling around now.
But we're not going to talk about that. But really, he just continues to not show any performance at all. Dud, after last place finish, after last place finish. Cody Ware just can't get a break. Or maybe he does and he just sucks. I don't know, you decide. But that finally brings us back to this past weekend at Daytona. Here in the present day, Cody Ware, driving full-time in the NASCAR Cup Series, entered into the Coke Zero Sugar 400 in 2022. As RWR has a charter, he never has to worry about being bumped. Plus, NASCAR hardly has enough starters these days for it to happen anyways. He drives the Nurtec ODT Migraine Tablet number 51 car. And now that we're talking about the car, I'd just like to say one more reason I want Cody to win so bad is because that Nurtec car is beautiful. You never see it, no one ever talks about it, but it's freaking purple and it's gorgeous. The 2021 car was awesome from the front, but the back looks like Sally got a little too aggressive with Lightning McQueen in the bedroom, or the garage, or wherever. Anyways, it's a crime for a car that looks so good from the front quarter to look so hideous in the back. But once they switched to Ford and the next gen was put in service, oh man, this paint scheme is chef's kiss.
I'm looking at the car right now, Cody. If you keep coming, it doesn't look too bad. We get some tires on it.
Now back to the race. It was set to start on the 27th on a Saturday night at 7 p.m. I was actually set to do a watch party, but my friends got COVID the week of. And then once I finally turned on my TV that night, sheets of rain. And so a 10 a.m. start time was set for the next day after, I want to say 2 or 3 hours worth of a rain delay. It was like this race was absurdly cursed by the racing gods from the very beginning. But it was no surprise we'd see some action. I mean, you could feel the energy buzzing around the NASCAR community. Everyone with a brain in the faintest of knowledge of what was happening in NASCAR at the time was holding their breath. Coming to the green flag, Lil Cody Ware started 33rd, surrounded by Todd Gilliland and Landon Castle. Some people Cody Ware's no doubt got to know as he races around them 8 laps down every single week. And he pretty much did what everyone thought he would, ride around, in last place. He was 37th by the time the pole sitter Kyle Larson's engine blew up. By the end of stage 1, my boy Ware was back there. But one by one, drivers followed Larson to the garage, and others became so bashed up that they looked like they'd come out of a demolition derby. First Blaney and Bell in a big crash on stage 1. Then McDowell, Chastain, Truex, Busher, LaJoy, and Byron, my personal favorite driver, are all taken out of contention in stage 2. But look who sneaks past. Next was Bowman, Bubba, Briscoe, and Stenhouse. Say that dude was fast. Then later Joey was taken out, but the worst was yet to come. Coming to 21 to go in stage 3, the final stage, with rain and lightning potentially coming at any second, drivers were pushing for every advantage they could get. With Hamlin and Suarez leading, the rain came, and it came hard, and completely out of nowhere. If you ever wanted to see 30 cars in close proximity to great traction all at once, here it is. It was easier to list cars that weren't involved in this wreck. In fact, it's so easy I can do it right now. Austin Dillon.
Right, 3 of Austin Dillon. Here's the
Still
drop.
Wreck, stay bottom, stay bottom.
Now
Keep
they're
coming.
wrecking in front of the 21 dead sideways on the brakes.
Easy,
Turn
bottom,
left.
bottom. You good,
You
keep
hear the
coming.
spotter. I'm imagining that the driver doesn't have time to
Austin Dillon was the only car that made it out unscathed. After that, there was maybe at most 10 cars that could realistically go for the win at the end. And there was one of these cars that had some damage, but it was minimal. And you guessed it, it's Cody Ware in the Nerdtech number 51 car, who would restart 4th behind some other new faces at the front, like BJ McLeod and Landon Castle. And after several hours of rain delay, the race was finally back on at like 5 p.m. or something. And immediately you can see the difference between Rick Ware equipment and top equipment as he falls back off the line and it becomes 3 wide as he's left out to dry. But it isn't over yet. He's already back in 10th by turn 2.
Austin Dillon just did not have any good help behind him, so he's lost the lead.
And it still isn't over yet. He stays in the draft, and with a little help from other cars, he keeps up with the leaders. And Austin Dillon's Hail Mary into Cindric didn't hurt either. The race literally looks like a ghost town at this point, with half the cars left destroyed beyond recognition, and the other half were cars that were too far behind and too slow to have been involved in the big one. Coming to 2 laps to go, Ware is 6th and in the lead pack. And then on the final lap, he's 4th, but left out to dry. But then Cindric, the Daytona 500 winner from this year, starts pushing him. He goes up to the front. He's coming to the front. Then Reddick comes down, and Ware is now settling in 3rd. And I'm on my feet and screaming and hollering as Cody Ware is on the podium in NASCAR's Top Series. Cody Ware, Cody Ware, Cody Ware, motherfucker.
Cody Ware running in that 3rd spot. Here comes Cindric in the 2. Keep an eye on him.
Then
Betrayal.
betrayal by his Ford teammate that gave him a push a lap earlier. Everyone flies past him to grab what spots they can by the finish. And it's revealed that's what they were all waiting for. And then all he has is Martin Truex Jr. for a push. Truex, who was literally driving half of a car at this point. It pains me to say that Cody Ware did not win at Daytona that day. And NASCAR fans' wildest upset dreams were crushed that day. Ware finished 6th in that race. It was his first and so far only top 10 in NASCAR's top division, meaning all full-time Cup drivers have a top 10 on the year for the first time in God knows when. I actually don't know. It could have happened last year, but I'm pretty sure it didn't. Probably a very, very long time. So, still a good day and certainly a career-defining moment for Ware. But for a moment, a fleeting moment, our hopes were alive for a Cody Ware victory in NASCAR. Austin Dillon went on to win the race, and as cool as it is to see the number 3 burning it down at Daytona, as it rightfully should over any other car on the field, we basically wasted half of our day to see the same guy who was leading at the rain delay win the race anyways. But I'll say at least we got Cody Ware's moment out of it. The realist in me knows that's the closest Cody Ware will ever get to winning. In fact, it's probably the only top 10 he'll ever have. And he needed 75% of the field to wreck at a plate track to get it. So I have no false hopes about this and for Cody Ware's future, but man, is it something that needs to be talked about because no one is. And Cody Ware deserves to be credited for that day. Wreckfest or not, total crapshoot or not, the man did something the majority of people over the 75 or so years the sport has been run that have started a NASCAR Cup Series race cannot claim to have done. But I think that'll do it for this video. I'd like to thank you for watching and remind you to subscribe. This is the first video on this new channel where me, Hot Dog, and my co-host Hoffle will talk about some random stuff, video essay style, and talk in insane detail about very specific topics. I'll probably be focusing a lot on NASCAR while my co-host will focus mostly on gaming, or we'll come together for some videos about, well, let's just say unique topics. I've been on YouTube for a while now, so I'll link my other channels on here as well, but this will mostly be a side project for now, for when I feel like uploading. But anyways, once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that may be.